The quantum energy still crackled through the air where Thanos and his army had stood moments before. Tony Stark's body convulsed on the scorched battlefield, the Infinity Stone's raw power coursing through his makeshift gauntlet like molten lightning. But something was different. Deep within his chest, beneath layers of damaged nanotech, a failsafe hummed to life, an extremis augmented core he'd installed after his near-death experience in Afghanistan all those years ago. A contingency for the contingency. Classic Tony Stark. The extremis enhancement, originally designed to regulate and contain massive energy surges, had been quietly upgraded over the years. Tony never told anyone, not even Pepper, about this final modification. It was his insurance policy, designed specifically to channel and disperse energy that would otherwise prove fatal. The Infinity Stone's power, while overwhelming, was still energy, and Tony Stark had made a career of controlling the uncontrollable. As the Avengers rushed toward their fallen comrade, reality itself seemed to hiccup. The residual energy from the stones mixed with quantum particles still lingering from their time heist, creating a volatile cocktail of interdimensional chaos. Tony's body flickered, there one moment, translucent the next. The quantum tunnel they'd used earlier had left microscopic rifts in local space-time, invisible to the naked eye but highly reactive to the stone's energy discharge. Pepper's scream cut through the air as she reached for him, her fingers passing through empty space where her husband had been. Doctor Strange, weakened from holding back the flood, tried to cast a containment spell, but the quantum interference scattered his magic like smoke. In the span of a heartbeat, Anthony Edward Stark vanished from Earth, pulled through one of the rifts before it sealed itself, leaving only scorched earth and the echo of heroism behind. Thousands of light years away, in the cold embrace of deep space, a body materialized inside the twisted wreckage of a Kree warship, one of the many casualties from the Kree-Skrull War that littered this sector of space. Tony's unconscious form drifted among floating debris, his armor scarred and partially melted from the Infinity Stone's power. The nanoparticles worked overtime, not just repairing the suit, but keeping Tony's body from shutting down entirely. Friday's systems had been corrupted by the energy discharge, operating at only 30% efficiency.
Boss, business, maintaining life, support.
Friday's voice glitched through damaged speakers, her AI matrix struggling to rebuild itself while keeping Tony alive. For 3 days, Tony Stark drifted between life and death, his genius mind trapped in dreams of home, of Morgan's laughter, of Pepper's touch. The extremis core pulsed weakly, each beat a little stronger as it absorbed ambient cosmic radiation to recharge. When consciousness finally returned, it came with searing pain and the crushing realization that he was farther from home than any human had ever been.
Friday?
Tony's voice was barely a whisper, his throat raw.
Boss, you're awake.
Friday's voice carried static but had stabilized somewhat.
I've been maintaining life support and attempting repairs. We're not in Kansas anymore. My systems were severely damaged. I've lost connection to all Earth-based Stark satellites.
Tony's eyes adjusted to the alien architecture surrounding him. Kree symbols glowed faintly on damaged panels, and through a massive breach in the hull, he could see an impossible vista of nebulae and distant stars he didn't recognize. His armor's HUD flickered with warnings. Power at 12%, life support critical, nanite reserves depleted.
Friday, where the hell are we?
Based on stellar positioning and what remains of my navigation data, approximately 4.2 million light-years from Earth, near the remnants of what my star charts identify as the Xandar system.
The weight of that distance hit him like a physical blow. Morgan, Pepper, Peter, everyone he'd sacrificed himself to save was now impossibly far away. But Tony Stark didn't become Iron Man by giving up. With trembling hands, he began salvaging what he could from the Kree ship, jury-rigging Kree power cells to his arc reactor. The alien technology was surprisingly compatible. The Kree had been studying Earth for decades after all.
If anyone's out there, now would be a really good time to pick up.
He muttered, rigging together a distress beacon from Kree communication arrays and his helmet's transmitter. The stars offered no immediate answer. Liking this story so far? Well, it would mean a lot to our channel if you could hit that subscribe button and share with your marvelous friends. Okay, back to the story. Meanwhile, aboard a ship called the Benatar, an unlikely crew of heroes was engaged in their latest salvage operation. 3 months had passed since the final battle with Thanos, and the Guardians of the Galaxy had seen better days. The loss of Gamora still haunted them, even with her past self now somewhere in the universe. But they pressed on, because that's what Guardians do.
I'm telling you, there's nothing valuable in this sector.
Peter Quill complained, feet propped up on the console, absent-mindedly spinning one of his blasters.
Just dead rocks and old war zones.
Quiet, Quill!
Rocket snapped from beneath a panel he was rewiring.
Some of us are actually working here. This hyperdrive motivator isn't going to fix itself.
I am Groot!
The adolescent tree added from where he was playing a handheld game.
No, you can't have more game time.
Rocket replied without looking.
You've been on that thing for 6 hours.
Drax sat sharpening his knives, while Mantis tended to a small garden of alien plants she'd been cultivating. The mood was somber. They all felt the absence of Gamora, though none would voice it aloud. Suddenly, Nebula's cybernetic eye twitched.
Wait, I'm picking up a distress signal. It's strange. The encryption pattern is Earth-based, but with modifications I recognize. It's using a Stark Industries quantum encryption key, but it's been adapted to Kree frequencies.
Earth?
Quill sat up straight.
Way out here? That's impossible.
Nebula's expression darkened with recognition.
It's Stark technology. I'd know that signature anywhere. I worked with him for 5 years during the blip. This is his personal encryption.
But Stark's dead.
Rocket said, emerging from under the panel.
We all saw it. He snapped Thanos away and...
He made a gesture indicating finality.
Dead people don't send distress signals.
Nebula countered.
Not even on Earth.
The Benatar changed course immediately, following the signal to its source. What they found defied belief, the wreckage of an ancient Kree warship, and within it, Tony Stark, the man who'd saved the universe, alive but barely, surrounded by jury-rigged Kree tech and Earth ingenuity.
Holy shit.
Quill breathed as they looked through the airlock window.
It's actually him.
They brought him aboard carefully. Tony was unconscious again, his armor locked in emergency mode. It took Rocket and Nebula working together to override the security protocols. Nebula knowing Stark's methods, Rocket understanding the technical aspects.
His vitals are all over the place.
Mantis said, her antennae glowing as she placed her hands on his temples.
He's in pain, so much pain, but also determination. He's fighting to stay alive.
I am Groot!
The teenager asked with unusual concern.
Yeah, bud, we're gonna help him.
Quill assured him. Rocket was the first to speak after they'd stabilized him in the medical bay.
Well, I'll be damned. Picked up another Earth dummy with ego issues. What are the odds?
Tony's eyes fluttered open to find himself surrounded by the strangest collection of beings he'd ever seen. And that was saying something after everything he'd been through. The medical bay of the Benatar was a far cry from his Malibu workshop, but the concerned faces watching him held a familiar quality.
Easy there, Sleeping Beauty.
Rocket said, though his tone carried more worry than snark.
You've been out for 2 days. Whatever you did to survive should have killed you 10 times over.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Tony croaked, his voice rough. His eyes found each Guardian in turn, memories from the battle flooding back.
Quill?
It's Star-Lord, actually.
Peter corrected, then caught himself.
But yeah, Peter Quill. We met during the whole Thanos thing. Gotta say, Stark, you look terrible for a dead guy.
Dead?
Tony tried to sit up, winced, and thought better of it.
Right, I was supposed to be dead. Pepper, Morgan. Do they know I'm...
Whoa, slow down.
Quill raised his hands.
As far as Earth knows, you died a hero. And we haven't exactly had a chance to send a postcard saying otherwise.
Nebula stepped forward.
The energy discharge from the Infinity Stones created a quantum rift. You were pulled through before it collapsed. The odds of survival were approximately 3 million to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Tony muttered, then looked at her more carefully.
Nebula, you look better, less homicidal.
I've been working on it.
She replied dryly. Over the next few hours, they filled Tony in on their recent adventures while he shared his impossible survival story. The extremist modification fascinated Rocket, who immediately wanted to examine it, while Mantis helped manage his physical pain with her empathic abilities.
So let me get this straight.
Rocket said, tiny arms crossed.
You had a secret gizmo in your chest that kept you alive, the stone's energy mixed with quantum whatever, and poof, you're in space.
That's the simplified version, but essentially, yes.
Tony accepted a bowl of something Drax assured him was soup, though it glowed faintly purple.
The question is, what now? I need to get home. My daughter, she's only 5. She needs me.
The Guardians exchanged glances. It was Nebula who spoke the hard truth.
Tony, we're 4.2 million light years from Earth, even at maximum jump capacity, using every jump point available. It would take
She paused, calculating.
approximately 47 years to reach Earth.
The bowl slipped from Tony's suddenly numb fingers. The next few days were the hardest of Tony Stark's life. The reality of his situation crashed over him in waves. He'd saved the universe, but lost his world. Morgan would grow up without him. Pepper would have to move on. Peter Parker would have to become Iron Man without his mentor. It was Mantis who found him one night in the cargo bay, surrounded by half-built devices, his hands shaking as he tried to work.
You're grieving.
She said softly, sitting beside him without invitation.
I'm trying to build a quantum tunnel.
Tony replied, not looking up.
If I can just recreate the conditions that brought me here.
You're grieving.
Mantis repeated, and this time her antennae glowed as she touched his hand. The emotional walls Tony had built crumbled. For the first time since arriving, he truly felt the loss. Not just the physical distance, but the life that had been ripped away. He broke down, grieving for the daughter who would forget his voice, the wife who would wake up alone, the world he'd never see again.
I know pain.
Drax said, appearing in the doorway. He'd been watching, drawn by his own understanding of loss.
My wife, my daughter, Thanos took them. The pain never leaves, but you learn to carry it.
How?
Tony asked, surprised by the rawness in his own voice.
By honoring them with your actions.
Drax replied simply.
You saved your daughter's world. Now honor her by protecting others. I am Groot!
The teenager added, placing a thin branch on Tony's shoulder in what was clearly meant as comfort.
He's right.
Rocket translated, then added his own thoughts.
Look, Stark, I get it. I've lost everyone I've ever given a damn about, except these idiots. But moping around isn't going to get you home faster. So until we figure out how to break the laws of physics, which, let's be honest, you'll probably do eventually, maybe you could help us not die in the meantime?
It was Nebula who provided the breakthrough Tony needed. She found him staring at a holographic photo of Morgan that Friday had saved, the last image before his battle with Thanos.
She's searching for you.
Nebula said, studying the image.
I know what it's like to lose a father, to have him be both hero and absence. She won't stop looking.
She's 5 years old, Nebula. By the time I find a way back, if I ever do, she might not even remember me.
Then we make sure the galaxy is safe for her.
Nebula replied simply.
That's what fathers do. They protect the universe their children will inherit.
Something shifted in Tony then. The grief didn't leave. It would never leave. But it transformed into purpose. He looked around the Benatar, really seeing it for the first time. The ship was a mess of competing technologies, held together by determination and Rocket's stubbornness.
You know,
He said slowly.
this ship could use some upgrades.
Rocket's ears perked up.
What kind of upgrades?
Oh, you know,
Tony stood, the engineer in him awakening.
better shields, adaptive weapons systems, maybe an AI that doesn't try to kill everyone, the usual.
I'm sold.
Quill said from the doorway where he'd been listening.
Just don't make it too complicated. Some of us aren't geniuses.
Speak for yourself.
Rocket muttered. Over the next 3 weeks, Tony threw himself into upgrading the Benatar. It became his therapy, his connection to who he was. Working alongside Rocket created an unexpected dynamic. Two brilliant minds challenging each other, pushing boundaries.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Rocket admitted, watching Tony install a new targeting system that integrated perfectly with the ship's alien architecture. The system could now track and predict movement patterns across multiple dimensions.
How'd you figure out the power conversion so fast?
Please.
Tony scoffed, though there was warmth in it.
I built a miniaturized arc reactor in a cave with a box of scraps. This is just Tuesday for me.
I understood that reference.
Quill called out, proud of himself. The ship's upgrades were remarkable. Tony created a hybrid system that merged his Earth technology with the cosmic tech the Guardians had accumulated. The shields could now adapt to different energy frequencies, the weapons could be modified on the fly, and Friday, once fully repaired, interface seamlessly with the ship's systems.
I must admit,
Nebula said, testing the new navigation system.
this is impressive. We can now calculate jump points 300% faster.
I am Groot!
The teenager exclaimed, playing with a holographic interface Tony had installed just for him.
No, you cannot use it to order space pizza.
Rocket said.
That's not even a thing.
Actually,
Tony started, then caught Rocket's glare.
never mind.
It was during a routine stop at Conjunction, a trading post built into an asteroid, that everything changed. The Guardians were resupplying while Tony, wearing a hooded cloak to hide his identity, browsed alien tech with Rocket.
Telling you, it came from nowhere.
A terrified Krylorian merchant whispered to another.
Ships with weapons like nothing I've seen. Energy beams that adapted to our shields. Destroyed our cargo haulers in seconds.
Tony and Rocket exchanged glances, moving closer to listen.
The Techno Syndicate, they call themselves.
Another merchant added.
Led by some Badoon warlord. They say he has magic technology. Weapons that think for themselves. I heard they hit a Nova Corps patrol last week.
A third chimed in.
Tore through them like tissue. The weapons, they looked almost like...
The merchant was cut off as a holographic display activated, showing security footage from one of the attacks. Tony's blood ran cold. The energy signatures, the repulsor patterns, the way the weapons adapted. It was all unmistakably his technology.
We need to go.
He whispered to Rocket.
Now.
Back on the Benatar, Tony analyzed the footage with growing horror.
That's my repulsor technology, the energy matrix, the targeting algorithms. It's all mine. How is that possible?
Your tech is on Earth.
Quill pointed out.
How'd it get way out here?
Unless...
Tony's fingers flew over the holographic displays, pulling up data from the day of his disappearance.
Oh no, oh no, no, no.
Care to share with the class?
Rocket asked.
The quantum surge, when I used the stones, it didn't just pull me through. Look at these energy readings. There were multiple rifts, multiple displacements.
Tony highlighted several data points.
Some of our defense satellites were in low Earth orbit during the battle. If they got pulled through...
Then your weapons are scattered across the galaxy.
Nebula finished grimly.
Not just weapons,
Tony corrected, his face pale.
Those satellites had manufacturing capabilities, self-repairing, self-replicating in case of critical damage. If someone's figured out how to activate them...
They could build an army,
Drax said, understanding the implications.
An army with weapons designed to fight beings like Thanos?
Tony added.
In the wrong hands.
Okay, so we find them and blow them up.
Rocket said.
Simple.
It's not that simple. If they've had weeks to reverse engineer the tech, they could have fail-safes, backups, manufacturing sites we don't know about. We need intelligence.
The Guardians spent the next 2 weeks tracking down leads on the Techno Syndicate. Each clue painted a darker picture. Raids on peaceful colonies, technology thefts, and always the same signature. Weapons that adapted, learned, evolved. Their investigation led them to Rengar 7, a moon that served as a black market hub. Tony had modified his armor to look more alien, adding cosmic elements that Rocket had suggested.
You stick out like a sore thumb,
the Raccoon had said.
Earth tech screams rob me out here.
In the moon's seedy underbelly, they found their informant, a sneaper named Grizz who dealt in stolen tech. Nebula's reputation got them in the door, while Tony's keen eye identified pieces of Earth technology among the alien contraband.
Yeah, I've seen the Syndicate's work.
Grizz wheezed through his breathing apparatus.
Bad for business, them. They don't buy, they take. Word is they got a base in the broken chain.
The asteroid field near the Klin?
Quill asked.
That's suicide.
Rocket protested.
That area's full of gravitational anomalies.
Perfect place to hide stolen Earth satellites.
Tony muttered.
The gravitational interference would mask their energy signatures.
Their infiltration of the asteroid field was harrowing. Quill piloted while Tony and Rocket made constant adjustments to compensate for the shifting gravity. Groot extended his branches to hold everyone in place during the worst turbulence, while Mantis kept Drax calm. He did not enjoy the metal death trap in such conditions.
There.
Nebula pointed to a hollowed-out asteroid ahead.
Energy readings are off the charts.
What they found inside confirmed Tony's worst fears. Not one, but 3 Stark Industries defense satellites had been merged with alien technology, creating a grotesque hybrid factory. Badoon workers scurried about mass-producing corrupted versions of his weapons.
We need to shut it down,
Tony said, but Rocket grabbed his arm.
Wait, look at the command center.
Through the factory's transparent aluminum windows, they could see the leader of the operation. A massive Badoon, but unlike any they'd seen, his body was interwoven with Earth technology, arc reactors glowing in his chest and limbs.
He's made himself into a weapon,
Nebula observed with disgust.
Using my technology?
Tony's voice was tight with controlled fury. They watched as the Badoon commander, who the workers called Gorth, demonstrated the weapons for potential buyers. Each piece adapted to its target, learning and evolving in real time. It was Tony's adaptive AI, but without any of the safeguards he'd built in.
We can't take this on alone,
Quill decided.
We need a plan.
I have a plan.
Tony said.
We go in there and...
No, the entire team said in unison.
Your plans involve too much self-sacrifice,
Nebula stated flatly.
I wasn't going to...
Tony started.
Yes, you were.
Mantis said gently.
I can feel it. You are going to upload yourself into their system to shut it down.
Tony fell silent. She was right. Back on the Benatar, safely away from the asteroid field, the Guardians planned their assault. But Tony had other ideas. If they were going to war against his own technology, they needed upgrades.
I've been holding back,
he admitted to the group.
Didn't want to change who you are, how you fight, but if we're facing my tech...
Give us everything you've got.
Rocket said immediately.
I want the biggest guns you can make.
I am Groot,
the teenager added excitedly.
Yes, you can have upgrades too.
Tony smiled, the first genuine smile in days. The next week was a frenzy of creation. Tony worked around the clock with Rocket as his assistant and Nebula providing tactical input. Each Guardian received personalized enhancements that transformed them into an even more formidable force. Groot's limbs were the first major project, reinforced with energy-channeling bark armor that could dynamically shift between defensive shields and offensive weapon configurations. The teenage Flora Colossus was ecstatic, spending hours testing different formations, while Tony fine-tuned the energy output. Rocket received dual plasma launchers with predictive targeting systems that synced perfectly with his natural instincts and combat experience. The weapons could analyze enemy movement patterns and adjust their firing solutions in real time, making the already deadly Raccoon nearly unstoppable. For Drax, Tony upgraded his beloved knives with vibrational generators that could cut through nearly any material in the galaxy. The technology was similar to what he'd once designed for surgical instruments, but weaponized for the destroyer's straightforward fighting style. Quill got perhaps the most comprehensive upgrade with a complete overhaul of his jet boots and a new helmet that Tony couldn't resist calling the Stark Lord, despite Peter's protests about brand confusion. The helmet featured advanced targeting systems, environmental controls, and a heads-up display that rivaled Tony's own Iron Man interface. Mantis, often overlooked in combat situations, received protective gear with emotional feedback amplifiers that allowed her to project her abilities at a distance. No longer would she need to physically touch opponents to influence their emotional states, making her both safer and more effective in battle. Finally, Nebula's existing cybernetics were enhanced with new combat protocols and defensive subroutines that Tony developed specifically to counter his own technology. knowing they'd be facing corrupted versions of his designs.
This is incredible.
Quill said, testing his new helmet's heads-up display.
It's like I can see everything.
Compensating for your poor perception.
Drax added helpfully.
The weapons are linked.
Tony explained.
Friday will coordinate your attacks, predict patterns, and adjust for maximum efficiency. You're not just a team now, you're a unit.
I am Groot!
Yes, there's a gaming mode,
Tony sighed.
but only after missions.
As they prepared, Tony couldn't help but notice how natural this felt. These misfits, these heroes, they'd accepted him without question. They didn't see Iron Man or the billionaire or the futurist. They just saw Tony broken and far from home and decided he was worth saving.
You're thinking too loud.
Mantis said, approaching him in his makeshift workshop.
Just wondering how I got here?
Tony admitted.
Not the quantum thing, I mean here, with all of you.
Family finds each other,
She said simply.
even across the stars.